Hello music theory students, Mr. Lefebvre here talking today about counting in 8. Previously, we have discussed how the top number in a time signature tells us how many beats per measure, and the bottom number tells us what kind of note gets the beat. Up until now, we've only been working in time signatures with a 4 as the bottom number. Today we will be talking about time signatures with an 8 as the bottom number. The bottom number tells us what note gets the beat by putting a 1 over that number in a fraction. If there's a 4 on the bottom, we make a fraction of 1 over 4, making 1/4, also known as a quarter. So the quarter note gets the beat. If an 8 is the bottom number, we can make a fraction of 1 over 8, an eighth. So the eighth note will get the beat. All other counting rules stay the same. However, instead of counting quarter notes, we'll count eighth notes. An eighth note will get 1 beat, then a quarter note will get 2 beats. Here is how you would count a measure of eighth notes in 6/8. Let's try an example of counting in 6/8. Our example begins with an eighth note. In 6/8, an eighth note receives the beat, so we put a 1. The next 2 notes are also eighth notes, therefore they receive beats 2 and 3. Next we have a quarter note. A quarter note can be split into 2 eighth notes, therefore in 6/8 it must receive 2 beats. We start by writing the next beat, 4, and since it's longer than a beat, we draw a line and put 5 on the line. The last eighth note in the first measure receives the final beat, 6. The next measure begins with a dotted quarter note. We know that a quarter note is 2 eighth notes, so we'll receive 2 beats, and the dot adds 1/2 of what came before it. So in 6/8, a dotted quarter note will receive 3 beats. We write this as a 1 with a line, and 2 and 3 on that line. Next is an eighth note receiving its own beat, beat 4. We then have an eighth rest, which receives the next beat, beat 5, but since it's a rest, we put it in parentheses. Next we see an eighth note tied to a quarter note, so we write beat 6 and a line since it's more than 1 beat. We put the next 2 beats on the line. In 6/8, a half note receives 4 beats. A half note can be split into 2 quarter notes, and each quarter note split into 2 eighth notes. Therefore, we write 3, a line, and 4, 5, and 6 on that line. Finally, we have a dotted half note. A dotted half note receives 6 beats in 6/8. So we write 1, a line, and beats 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on that line. Let's try an example where we see the counting and we write in the notes. Note that the time signature in this exercise is 7/8, meaning there will be 7 beats in each measure and the eighth note will receive the beat. We start our exercise with beats 1, 2, and 3, each eighth notes. We then see beats 4 and 5 together. In 7/8, 2 beats equals 1 quarter note. We see the same thing with beats 6 and 7, another quarter note. Next we see beats 1, 2, 3, and 4 together. A note that receives 4 beats in 7/8 is a half note. Next is beats 5 and 6 together, again a quarter note. Next is beat 7 in parentheses, a 1 beat rest. In 7/8, that's an eighth rest. Next is beats 1, 2, and 3 together. A 3 beat note in 7/8 would be a dotted quarter note. Then we see beats 4, 5, 6, and 7 together, all in parentheses, so we are looking for a rest. A 4 beat note in 7/8 was a half note, so a 4 beat rest in 7/8 will be the half rest. Next is beats 1 and 2, a quarter note. Beat 3, an eighth note. A rest that's 2 beats long, taking up beats 4 and 5, a quarter rest. And ending with beats 6 and 7, both eighth notes. To review, if the time signature has an 8 as the bottom note, you will count eighth notes, giving eighth notes 1 beat. Thanks for watching.